This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Catch Manny's work there at The Athletic, and you can catch him a couple times a week here talking a little Canes football. Manny, how you feeling? You feeling all right?
Doing great, man. How are you? Have a good Thanksgiving?
Yes, bro. Yes. Plenty of turkey last night, which was so good. And I can't wait to get home to have the leftovers now because
Right.
you got to have the leftovers, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The only thing is I'm not going to have any maduros or any boniato when I get there. So that's already gone. But the rice and beans will be – usually the beans taste better the next day, bro.
They do. They
Right?
do. That's a great point. Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to a little turkey and leftovers when I get home, man. So anyway, hope you had a good one too with the
We did.
family, my brother. All
We
right.
did.
That's good. This is one of those weeks where – I mean, you should take care of business. This shouldn't be the hard. This should be one of the easier games for you on the schedule. In other words,
Right.
Duke's not very good, my brother.
No, they're pretty bad, and it's funny. In the preseason for the Athletic, I ended up writing the preview on Duke, and I spoke to a couple of their coaches, and for them, they had done a really good job recruiting, getting some guys on offense over the years, which is why they ended up winning the division. They got some South Florida kids, if you remember, at receiver, and they had some playmakers. And I thought David Cutcliffe did probably the best job of any coach at Duke, right, with what he did with them over the years. But they're kind of reaching the tail end of their run. They don't have the Daniel Jones at quarterback. They don't have some of the other kids that they've put in the NFL over the years. And so it's a very, 48-0 last year to the same Miami team. I expect something similar to that. I think it'll be another blowout tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, man. And I got to tell you, it's become must-see TV watching Van Dyke because that kid is just going to unleash the hammer, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, we should call him Thor, the Thor of quarterback, because he comes with the hammer every week, bro. It's just it's fun to watch.
He has really grown quite a bit here in the matter of 5 weeks, and the confidence level shot through the roof. And he's got good receivers, right? Charleston Ramble's making good catches for him.
But he's got accuracy, bro. You don't teach that, Manny. You
you're
teach
right.
that. You don't teach that. I'm sorry, you don't.
Yeah.
Because as much as I like this other kid, De'Aaron King, he's not half the passer this guy is.
Right. Arm strength, accuracy, all those things. Yeah. And he's and what's exciting about Tyler is we still don't know how good he can get, right? Like he's just played 8. I mean, this is what, 7-8 starts for him. Yeah. And really you would say just the last 5 games, because the first 2 games they were very conservative with him, and then because they had to be aggressive, all of a sudden they let him cut it loose in the second half of those 2 losses to Virginia and North Carolina. But let's see where this guy goes in the offseason, what kind of improvement he makes. To me, he is probably the first. I mean, Brad Kyle was somebody I think we all had high hopes for. Obviously couldn't, back injury, career cut short. He never really got on in the NFL, but I think this guy is legitimate, NFL talent. I think he can play quarterback for an NFL team.
Oh, yeah. No, he's got NFL skills, man. There's no doubt in my mind that guy's got NFL, and he's got NFL moxie. That's the other thing that he plays the game fearless.
Yep.
And I really like that about him, because if you're going to be conservative as a quarterback, I don't want you, dude. I just, it's just not going to happen, because there are moments that the windows are going to be tight and you're going to have to complete it. And there are times you're going to have to take some chances. If you're going to wait every time that somebody has to be wide open for you to throw it to them, then you're not going to be a very good quarterback in the end. And what I like about him is he has that temperament that maybe does translate to the next level, because he is willing to take chances.
Yeah, and another thing I like about him is he's not a statue, right? Like, even though he's been sacked a few times,
he move around, yeah.
He uses the pump fake. He gets guys to bite, dive at him. I mean, he can run with the ball and make plays. So, to me, he's even better than I thought he would be, to be honest with you. I thought Jake Garcia would eventually overtake him. I can't see that happening now if he keeps improving the way that he is. And Jake Garcia, by the way, I think is a great quarterback too. I felt better about Jake coming out of the spring than I did TVD. I think once he gets healthy, there'll be a great competition. And man, I hope for Miami's sake they both stick around, because that would be fabulous to have back-to-back years of really good quarterback play.
Should you have a competition?
I think for the kid to stick around, you should, and for Jake to get,
okay,
for TVD to get better. I think you say those kind of things so that
you say it. Yes,
you say those kind of things so that those guys don't compete. But ultimately, if TVD is, I mean, he to me, has he proven that he deserves to be the starter next year? Yes, I think without question. But I think your goal as a program ultimately is to keep both of those guys, because we've seen you can get knocked out, you lose that quarterback, and you're a completely different team. So
yeah, no, I'm with you there, Manny. What have you heard since we last spoke to you earlier in the week about Diaz's situation? A lot of people are feeling that he may survive.
yeah.
Is that a feeling that is now starting to circulate in your eyes?
I mean, I think it's just opinions. I think people have different opinions on the matter. And I think the moment you fired Blake James and you came out to the media, me and others included, and said, "Hey, we're going to spend money." You do that because you're trying to get the fan base excited, right? And B, I think you're also trying to put the message to potential coaches that you're serious about improving the situation at the University of Miami, right? Because the knock on Miami has always been, well, they're not going to spend. You're not going to be able to hire a great staff. You're not going to be able to have all the things that you would have at an Oregon or a Mississippi or some other places. And I think that message was strategically played for the fact that if they can land a better coach, they will. That's been my opinion the whole time. I think if they can get the better coach, they will. But if they can't get the guys that they really want, my opinion is they stick with Manny Diaz. And there's no rush to fire him. Like, you could fire him on Sunday or Saturday, but the reality is the coaches that you probably want are coaching their teams through their bowl games. So you could hold on to him for different reasons and let him coach the bowl game and then make the firing afterward. So number one is athletic director. They got to settle that. That's the guy who's ultimately going to break the tie in all these decisions going on behind the scenes. And to me, it's a very small contingent of people who really have a say in this. I know everybody thinks, the board of trustees and this guy who gives this money and this guy who gives that money. It's President Frank, his two dudes, and one other person that are involved. 4 people that are making the decisions here. And I think if they get some sort of guarantee or some sort of feeling that they can get the coaches they really want, I think they let go of Manny. And if not, he comes back. And you play it that way. That's my opinion. That's the way I view it.
Remember, you can follow him on Twitter, and that is at Manny_Navarro. Manny, when you start to look at the possible changes, okay, now, what else have you been able to hear about that? Because I think what we're all trying to figure out is, would they actually spend the money that they need to spend? Because that's really the ultimate question. And then, as you've seen the landscape grow with other big schools needing coaches themselves, do you see them competing with those schools for the same 2 or 3 guys that are going to be available, and those guys are going to be asking for a lot of money?
Yeah, I mean, the notion was what I was told November 2nd and what I reported November 2nd was simple. Money will not be an issue, according to the Miami administration. Now, does that mean we're going to expect a commitment forever, that they're going to put it in writing somewhere, that every year we're giving the athletic program $30 million, $40 million, $50 million to make sure that the football team doesn't fall apart? I don't know that that's going to be written anywhere. I think this is more about the school president getting called out on national television, on ESPN, and saying, you know what, we're going to do something about this, because I got people who want to wring my neck for other reasons, and I got to look strong in this situation. And I think his commitment goes as far as he goes, because the next president, whoever it is down the road, comes in, they could come in and run Miami the way it used to be run. But for right now, this commitment is, I think, for a potential coaching change and whatever it takes to get the football team to win. Beyond that, I can't sit here through my reporting and my conversations with Miami's administration say that I know that there's any fixed number that everybody's agreed to. That there's going to be 30 or 40 million coming every year, I think is presumptive. That's not. I don't think that's necessarily accurate.
Well, I mean that's the and to me that's going to be the challenge, right there.
Mm-hmm.
That if you make this change, you you got to convince the public that you're not hiring another Manny, another Golden, another Shannon.
Right. Right.
You know,
I agree. I think this is about if you can land the kind of coach that you want, the guy that's going to come in here and take you to that level where you win the Coastal Division every single year, or nearly every single year. You're playing for the ACC championship. You're getting into the college football playoff. I think that is the vision for what this program wants. That's the goal, right? But you can't just fire Manny Diaz and say, "Well, we're going to get somebody better," and then go hire a guy from I don't know, Coastal Carolina, right? You can't you can't just go hire a guy at a G5 and say, "Well, that's going to solve the issues." I think this is about getting a proven head coach in here, a guy who can win, the guy who can recruit South Florida, keep the kids home, even when you're struggling, even in a situation right now, a guy who can work the transfer portal, a guy who just knows how to get it done. Big O. I mean, that's it. Like, there's no excuses. There's no reason Miami shouldn't win the division every year. I mean, when Pittsburgh and North Carolina, Virginia Tech are your biggest competition every single year, you should be able to beat those teams and win the division. That's just a fact.
yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I listen. This is the frustrating part for all of us, man. We know that they make the money. We know that they can spend the money if they really wanted to. We know they should be a lot better than what they are. But the problem is, until we see, and this has been a problem for decades now,
Right.
until we actually see the administration embrace and care football as much as the fans and the media do,
Right.
then we'll believe it. You know what I'm saying? But meanwhile, we're all sitting there waiting for that day to come that they show that kind of commitment, because unfortunately, they could get away with a lot of crap back in the day because money wasn't the factor it is now.
Right.
Now that money's the factor, there's another game that needs to be played, whether it's
Absolutely.
just paying your coaches or your facilities or your amenities and all that other stuff that all of a sudden now has become. I mean, who the hell cared about Nike school 30 years ago? You know what I'm saying?
Nobody did, right?
Nobody was talking about, are you an Under Armour school, a Nike, a Reebok? Oh, kids love Nike, so you gotta want to try to be Nike because they'll gravitate more to Nike. None of that mattered in the 80s and 90s.
Uniforms, remember all the crazy uniform combinations? Oh, the kids, that's what they care about now, right? They want the
material.
Yep.
And you weren't materialistic in those days. In those days, it was just flat out about winning. So that's why all these old school guys are having trouble with all of this, because they didn't come to the University of Miami because of a facility. They didn't come to the University of Miami because you got 9 uniforms. They came to the University of Miami because you were winning championships.
And because you'd go to the first round.
And you would end up in the NFL because you were playing for championships. That's not the priority anymore, because in order for you to use that as a priority, then money and amenities have to be also your priority. And that's where the University of Miami has just lagged behind and failed.
Yep. And again, I was talking to somebody last night about this. They said, well, why, what happened? When did things change? I said, well, the moment they got into the ACC, they just started cashing those checks and building buildings. Right? I mean, you went down to Miami. Remember how small the Hecht Athletic Center used to be?
Joke.
The media office where we would hang out to wait for practice to end. I mean, that whole thing was just it was tiny. It was nothing. The weight room was nothing.
Right.
And they've spent all that money building the buildings around it and making it nice and making it pretty, but they never put the money into the coaching. Not nearly enough. Not nearly enough to give the guys that are running the team the materials that they need to win, and not hiring the quality guys that you need to win. And that requires money too. So I look, if the school is serious about this commitment, like I told you guys on November 2nd when I reported that story, that supposedly this is what they said, money's not an issue, then things are going to get better, and you should be happy as a Miami fan because that's what the school's saying. And I think at this point, for them to backtrack, I mean, the amount of egg on their face at that point, right, to all of a sudden not spend money. So just sit tight, relax. This is the last regular season game. We'll see what happens once the athletic director is hired, which will probably happen at some point next week or the week after. And we'll see. We'll see what that guy decides and what he wants and how serious they are about winning.
Well, Leon Fresco sent in a little super chat. Thank you, Leon. As always, he says, does Manny prefer the Sun Bowl or the Charlotte Mayo Bowl?
Boy.
So what bowl game?
I've been to El Paso twice, brother.
Yeah, no, I know. I've been El Paso. I was my car broke down. So I'm coming back from San Francisco in the 280ZX. Okay. This is a long time ago. This is almost like 25 years ago or something like that. 97, in other words. So yeah, about 25 years ago, 24 years ago. So we're coming back from San Francisco, and we're doing this whole thing. I go, to LA, and then we went over to the Grand Canyon. We hung out for a night, and then we leave the Grand Canyon. So my wife drives, right, and I rest a little bit. So all of a sudden, I hear, "Ah!" and I wake up, and she slammed on the brakes, and we're stopped. And I look around, and we are in the middle of nowhere, right?
Right.
And she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I panicked. I thought the stop sign was closer." Meanwhile, the stop sign is still 40 yards away. She never reached the stop sign. And then she starts crying all of a sudden. And I look at her and I go, "Hey, relax. Everything's fine. You just stopped and we're good. No accidents, no nothing. Relax. You don't need to cry." She goes, "No, I broke the car." And I go, "What do you mean you broke the car?" She goes, "Yeah, look at the clutch." And I look down and she hits the clutch and it's going like this.
Oof. Oof.
But luckily I grew up with a trucker. My dad was a trucker for many, many years. So he taught me how to drive stick without a clutch. So I know how to drive a stick car without a clutch. Where you accelerate, and then as it's decelerating, that's when you bring it into the next gear, and it's one of those things that you feel anyway.
Right.
So I go, "Hey, relax, don't worry, we'll figure it out." So I put the car into first gear, and that's how you got to start it. You got to put it in first gear and start it; it'll kick off.
Right.
And so I kicked off. I took off. I drove for 900 miles.
Woo! God
without
bless
a
you.
clutch. Okay. We stopped in San Antonio before El Paso because it's San Antonio, then El Paso. Right? That's how it is, right? Or is it El Paso, San Antonio? Which one is
El Paso's further west. So yeah, I would assume El Paso first. Right.
It's El Paso first, then San Antonio. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So we got to El Paso. That's what it was. We got to El Paso and we got to the Nissan dealership there. Okay. We pull into the Nissan dealership and I have them check on the car. And they go, "Yeah, we know what's wrong with it. You need this piece. We don't have it." It's a $24 piece of plastic that my wife broke in the clutch. And so they go, "Well, they have it in San Antonio." Well, sure enough, I got in the car and I finished my 900 and some odd mile trek to San Antonio, and I ended up fixing it. And so I do remember El Paso.
You passed right through it.
and I smelled right through it.
Right.
Let's put it the right way, okay?
Yeah.
What people don't realize is the second you come right out of El Paso for about 40 miles, it's just cattle.
Yep, pretty much. Manure everywhere. Yep.
And exactly. For 40 miles, you are smelling crap.
Yep. Okay? Yep. It's true.
Yeah, I know. On Lee Trevino Drive. Woo. I remember seeing Lee Trevino Drive there in El Paso because I learned that Lee Trevino was from El Paso. Yep. I didn't know that until I saw Lee Trevino Drive in El Paso. So there's my El Paso story when I was in a 280ZX back in 97. How about that?
Hey, brother, listen. El Paso, when I was there, was the Notre Dame game when it was snowing. Remember?
Oh yeah,
that game, Miami Notre Dame, that was the game Al Golden was introduced as the next coach to the media, and whatever. Like it was okay. I've been in other terrible towns. Listen, I was where was I 2 years ago in Louisiana? Where the Independence Bowl is. That's no picnic either, bro. It's not New Orleans.
You've done Boise too, right? You've done Boise.
There's been. I didn't go to Boise. Thankfully, I didn't have to go to Boise. But I've been to a bunch of places, cities where you don't want to go for a bowl game. So for me, it doesn't matter. I'm skipping Durham this week. I'm not going up to Duke for the game. I'm going to watch it from home. Really, no reason to be there. If they fire Manny, we're not going to get him after the game. So.
Right. And if they fire him, anyways, they'll fire him down here. They're not going to fire him there.
Right.
Yeah, unless Duke goes and embarrasses you by 30 points, then yeah, maybe they might fire him right there.
Right. Then,
yeah, you need a hitchhike home, bro.
They'll make him take an Uber back.
Yeah. They say call the Panthers. They'll call you a taxi. I don't know, something like that. It'll do something like that. All right. So you got a prediction? What's 10, 15?
Yeah,
20
I think
points?
Miami wins by 28.
Okay.
28. Wow. I think they beat them pretty good. I think it would be something like 42-14 or something like that, probably.
Okay. All right. Beautiful thing. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro and catch him twice a week here for the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. Manny, as always, you're a stud. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Same to you. Happy holidays, peeps.
You got it. There you go, Manny. Be good. Happy holidays, my man.